Hello everyone, I'm Lazy Ant. In our last video, we talked about the origin of all life in Chinese mythology, Pangu creating the world. This episode, we're going to discuss the legend of NuWa creating humans. Unlike the story of NuWa creating humans, the tale of NuWa repairing the sky is more familiar to many Chinese people. Therefore, in this video, we're going to delve into the story of NuWa creating humans. According to Chinese mythology, after Pangu separated the heavens and the earth, he fell down exhausted after 18,000 years. His head transformed into mountains, his eyes became the sun and moon, his hair turned into vegetation, his blood into oceans, his voice into thunder, his breath into wind, and his tears into rivers. Despite the earth becoming colorful and vibrant with life, there were still no humans. Another 18,000 years passed after Pangu's death, and a goddess named NuWa emerged between heaven and earth. Her upper body was similar to modern humans, but her lower half was that of a snake. At that time, everything was desolate, and NuWa lived alone. She felt very lonely. One day, NuWa came to a clear pond, picked up the mud by the pond, and pinched one after another little mud figure, both males and females. She breathed life into these mud figures, and as soon as she placed the mud people on the ground, they all came to life. They could run, jump, talk, laugh, and they started calling her Mother. NuWa finally smiled happily. NuWa called them humans and was delighted by their lively intelligence. Therefore, NuWa worked diligently every day to shape more little mud figures, but the earth was too vast, and after a long time, only a few mud figures took form. NuWa felt that shaping by hand was too slow, so she had an idea. She pulled down vines from the mountains and twisted them into ropes, then dipped these ropes into the yellow mud. After pulling them out, she shook them onto the ground. Drops of mud fell and all transformed into active, energetic humans. Thus, it was passed down in later generations that the people from wealthy families were those shaped by NuWa's hands, while the ordinary people were the mud figures shaken from the ropes. Even though humans had appeared on the earth, NuWa's work did not end. She thought to herself, people will ultimately die. Should I recreate them batch after batch when they die? That's too much trouble. How can I ensure their continued existence? Later, she came up with a solution. She divided the humans into men and women and established the relationship of marriage between them, allowing them to reproduce and bear children on their own. In this way, the human race has continued generation after generation, with the population increasing day by day. The legendary goddess of creation, NuWa, could transform everything in the world and create at least 70 things each day. Hence she was known as the Mother of Earth. Before NuWa created humans, on the first day she created chickens, on the second day dogs, on the third day pigs, on the fourth day sheep, on the fifth day cows, on the sixth day horses, and only on the seventh day did NuWa use yellow soil and water to create mud figures in her own likeness. She kindly created life, established the institution of marriage, and when the sky and earth were collapsing, she mended the broken sky with stones of 5 colors, broke off the 4 legs of a giant turtle to prop up the 4 corners of the world. She also controlled floods, killed fierce beasts, and protected the people from natural disasters. She is widely and enduringly worshipped by the people as the creator deity and the mother of the earth. As for how she prevented living creatures from being affected by natural disasters, it begins with the story of Gong Gong knocking down Mount Buzhou, which is detailed in our 3rd video. The earliest mention of the story of NuWa creating humans in ancient texts is in the book, Customs of China. This story depicts NuWa's deeds in creating humans, highlighting her divine status, and also allows us to observe the process of human societal changes. The story of shaping humans from clay is considered a creation myth, following the invention of human pottery-making techniques, and the differentiation between the rich and the poor among the humans created reflects the evolution of human society into a class system. The myth of NuWa creating humans is indeed a reflection of the matriarchal society in primitive times. At that time, women dominated population production, and men were relatively at a disadvantage initially. Men's recognition of their role in population production came later. In the communal life of the matriarchal society of the primitive era, resources for living and production, such as land, houses, forests, and water sources were collectively owned, and food, clothing, and other necessities were collectively owned and distributed. Meanwhile, men who went out to war, hunted and herded, were the first to start the privatization of weapons and small labor tools, such as bows and arrows, fishing spears, slings, and canoes. In the process of barter trade, they began private ownership of life resources such as livestock. Women did not pay much attention to this process, and men's innate physical advantages in the process of material production quickly made them the new protagonists of society. For this reason, the legend of NuWa creating humans gradually added elements of other gods assisting NuWa in her creation, thereby diminishing NuWa's divinity. As matriarchal societies transitioned to patriarchal societies, and as men's power and control over society increased, more and more people could not accept the notion that the creator and supreme deity of humanity was a female. Consequently, myths centered around goddesses gradually transformed into myths centered around gods. The downgrading of NuWa's role in creating humans, along with the weakening of the goddess's influence in patriarchal society, led to the emergence of deities like the Huangdi, Fuxi, and Pangu, who either co-created humans with NuWa in the myths or replaced her. Despite this, NuWa is still revered and worshipped by later generations. It is said that the 18th day of the third lunar month is NuWa's birthday, and people from the provinces of Shaanxi, Shandong, Hebei, and Henan all come to worship NuWa, a tradition that has been kept for over 1,000 years. The worship activities praise the various deeds and achievements of NuWa, the ancestor of humanity. The NuWa festival is one of the 5 major ancestral ceremonies in China and was listed as part of the first batch of the National Intangible Cultural Heritage in 2006. The famous myth of NuWa repairing the sky also influenced later creative works. In Dream of the Red Chamber, one of China's 4 classic novels, this myth is invoked in the first chapter. To mend the sky, NuWa refined 36,501 pieces of stone. She used 36,500 pieces and one was left unused. This stone was reincarnated as the protagonist Jia Baoyu. In addition, there are many temples dedicated to NuWa in various places, such as Macau and Bangkok, Thailand. Malaysia has 3 NuWa temples, while Taiwan has 7, showing that the legend of NuWa creating humans and NuWa mending the sky has had a profound impact on later generations of Chinese people. In the next time, we'll discuss the story of Tang, the founding monarch of the Shang dynasty. There's a saying in China, to open one side of the net, which means to leave a path for survival, whether it's for people or for matters. Tang was such a benevolent ruler. As the second dynasty in Chinese history, the Shang dynasty created China's earliest system of writing, the oracle bone script, marking the beginning of documented history in China. It also made significant contributions in many fields. Follow my channel to learn more about the history and stories of Chinese culture. You'll never have to worry about running out of topics and stories during your next gathering with friends. If you like this video, please give me a like, share and subscribe this YouTube channel. Every subscription is the biggest support. Thank you.